Hey there, it's Bobby Legs, and welcome to another episode of Watch Soup. And I am joined on this Labor Day weekend by my good buddy Clayton from the Watchdog podcast and Sanjay, hopefully from the Engineer Wannabe channel, joining us soon. Clayton, how has your weekend been, man? What's going on?
It's been good, been productive. You have 3-day weekend. I'll tend to put everything off until Monday night,
Yeah.
but no, it's been pretty good. I've been spacing chores out and things I need to do out. I was telling you we're boarding some dogs. Yeah, this is a little too much sometimes. A little too much going on at the house, but yeah, pretty good weekend so far.
Great, great. Hey, what do you got on wrist this evening?
I took it off, but yes,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
Moser
man, such a good.
tonight.
Yeah.
I bought the rubberized deluxe
Mm,
strap for it, so I
mm,
put the fitted. These have curved spring bars, so I
yeah.
put
Oh, nice.
curved spring bars into the deluxe. Yeah, it's really comfortable and little more comfort to wear on warmer summer days than leather. So yeah.
Did you see that their recent release with the rose gold case and the that
Oh
black?
yeah, the new one.
Oh
This at Geneva Watch Day. Yeah, that's really nice.
man, that's
Vanta
a beautiful.
black.
Oh yeah, that's such a
Yeah.
great looking piece. And they did the indices on it, which I like better than just. I mean,
Yeah.
I love yours, but I mean like with the black, I think with the indices,
Oh,
I
it
mean
really
that is
pops
just
with those rose gold indices. I agree. Yep.
Was
absolutely.
that the MBNF one?
No, 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 that was just their release this past week.
The
Okay.
Endeavor, yeah, just like the
Yeah.
Vanta black,
Hmm.
rose gold case and then rose gold indices.
And then they did one
Very
with
nice.
And then they did a tourbillon, right? With
Yes.
that
Yep.
and that looked
Also,
that just
same
looked really good.
colorway. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Sanjay, what's up, man?
Hi. Good. How are you? It
How was your weekend?
was good. It was tiring,
Yeah,
long,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear you. I
but
hear you.
yeah,
Do you,
did some
do you,
yard work today and
mm,
chopped down some brush.
oh
You,
yeah,
you know what it's like.
I know. Hey, I did exactly the same thing today, early in the
Yeah.
morning. Yeah, yeah. But then I got all my work done like a good boy, and at noon I was able to put on the TV and watch my alma mater Rutgers beat Northwestern today in
Oh, I
football.
watched some of that
Oh,
today.
cool.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
it was what 24 to nothing when I was watching. I
yeah,
when I
yeah.
did other things.
Yeah, Northwestern got a cheap touchdown. Well, not cheap, but I mean they got a touchdown in at the last like second or two of the game. So um, it wasn't a shutout. But anyway, good win for the Scarlet Knights. Good opening win, and hopefully they have a decent season this year. Hey,
Yeah.
Sanjay,
Congrats.
what do you have on wrist this evening?
On my wrist is my old faithful, Planet Ocean.
If Old Faithful
Yeah.
because it's out of your core collection. That's your oldest watch in the collection.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
besides some of the other pieces that were handed down or whatever. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. We've been through a lot together.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
6 months of
yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, you've been through July together. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
What's on
uh,
your wrist?
Oh yeah, I have my Seahawk
Nice.
GP. I've been wearing
cool.
this a lot lately on a Nick Mankey strap.
Uh,
It's a good watch. It's a good watch. I'm trying to
new
get it.
new purchase, right?
Huh?
New purchase.
Yeah, new purchase. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If new, like meaning 17 years
Now
ago.
that's
Yeah,
old faithful for you.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 18. It's been 18 years. 18 years since I had this watch, uh,
Wow.
and it's in great shape. And it's like and I feel bad sometimes because it sits on my case for a while and I don't wear it. It's like I don't even see it, you know what I mean? Like it's just like lost in there. And
Yeah.
then because now I'm down to like four watches in my collection, right? Um, I had to put it. I got to give it some wrist time, and I'm glad it fits so great on this Nick Mankey strap. Nick Mankey,
It's so nice. You should just wear it. Wear it
yeah,
for yeah.
yeah. I'm just gonna wear it.
Yeah.
Just
Screw it.
just
Yeah,
do
just
it.
wear it.
I'm just gonna do it. Just like,
Just
wear it.
wear it, would you?
Yeah, yeah. Totally gonna wear it. I'm totally gonna wear it. Don't worry, don't worry. I'm gonna wear it. Okay, let's say hello to the chat first, and then we'll get right into the soup, the thick of things. Hey, quicker than drawings here. Hey, man, good to see you. Steve Time Hill is here. Mr. Wilson, hello. How are you? Detroit Spartan, yo yo, good to see you here. Miss Zone One is here. Greetings, humans. Chaz saying, let's go. Kevin S is here. Caliber YQG, how you doing? Good to see you. Hans. All right, Hans. Awesome, Cowboy Swami. Cowboy Swami's here. Hey, Wayben, greetings all. Still honeymooning with a new Bulova Jetstar. Remarkably good. Excellent. Excellent. Ken
Nice.
Spiel, checking in from Pittsburgh. Mez9 is here. J Thor. What's up, Sanjay? First time watching your stream last night. Enjoyed it. Hey, what was
Thank
the
you.
topic last night?
Oh, I
Oh,
haven't watched it yet. I wasn't sure if you did
any
one or not. I fell asleep.
anything and everything. I got the stream ready like 10 minutes before. It's at 8:50. Um, decided to do like some game that I came up with pretty quickly, where
Oh,
I try to think of the second brand that comes to mind when I think of our friends in the chat.
okay.
That's a
Oh,
horrible
wow.
idea because it takes a long time to think of a second brand, right?
Yeah.
So there was
Oh,
a lot of dead air.
so like a Detroit Spartan, we know he's big into Rolex. So you're thinking like
Yeah.
a second brand that he might his Shinola, right? He's
Shinola,
definitely
that's what I
yeah.
would say for
That's
him.
what a couple of people said, and it made so
Yeah.
much sense. But I think I picked Seiko for him. I
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I don't
I
know,
was a
man.
little loopy too. I was tired.
Yeah. Oh,
But
too
the
many.
other thing we talked about was the Submariner, the Marcus's Submariner. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Nice.
I told everyone it's a horrible watch and to
Uh-oh.
stay away from it. No, no, I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. Last night,
It
my
wasn't the Smurf, was it?
No.
Blue and black? No. Oh, good.
last night, Mrs. Legs and I were our children were not home, so we just like sat and watched like binge watch some, yeah, ate some ice cream and binge watch some shows.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, but I'll catch up with your stream. Hey, Chris J is here. Have you heard of the Blancpain Swatch collaboration? I have heard about that. I heard about
Yeah.
it.
It's quite the
Are they
news
doing?
this evening.
Are they doing like a
Wow.
50 fathoms? Is that what I or
System
no?
51 fathoms, right? That makes sense. Blancpain's never made a quartz watch, so I imagine they want to keep that going. So it's got to be System 51.
Hmm. All right. We'll see.
Swatch is calling in the favors,
Yeah.
after many years of
Yeah.
I
supplying
We don't
everything.
guess.
want to do it. Remember the quartz crisis? Okay, we'll
Yeah.
do it.
Hey, Johnny McJohnface is here. Deech, what is up? Wearing his tuna tonight. Excellent. Pale Horse is here. That's good to see you, Pale Horse. Anybody else? Hey, James, sneaking in there. Even less interest than I have with the actual Blancpain watches. Wow, Kevin with a hot take. All right. Hey, let's have some soup. Okay. Uh, we'll start off with Clayton. Hey, you picked this watch, that watch. It's a channel that I wasn't aware of either.
Yeah, new one I
I,
discovered just the other day, actually.
making sense of watch marketing BS, discussing Seiko accuracy, etc. Hey, tell us about this one.
Yeah, so there's a lot here. I'm gonna
Mm,
condense it, and then I'm sure you guys picked up some things too. We can chat. So yeah, new channel, kind of interesting take on things. Yeah, marketing BS. He said, these are topics that get us riled up as watch enthusiasts. We're kind of a slave to marketing sometimes. So, we just wanted to touch on a few things here. And number one point, there is no best titanium. Grade 5, in his opinion, is not better than grade 2 titanium. Grade 2 is like a pure titanium. Sanjay and I are titanium experts, so
Yes.
I'm surprised he didn't ask us to pitch in here. 5 is a mixture of many different alloys, right? With different properties. Titanium was not initially uh, made for jewelry. It was industrial purposes because it's light, corrosion resistant. He said, grade 2 is going to be fine for your tool watch. If they can use it for battleships and
mm,
submarines, it's going to be okay. Your tool watch is going to be just fine to take in the salt water. It's not going to rust, no corrosion or anything like that. Um, Grade 5 is often used for medical purposes like dental implants, screws, all that kind of stuff. It's lighter in shade. It can be polished a little easier than grade 2 and machined. It's better suited for luxury watches. Rolex with their new titanium Yachtmaster and the deep what's it called, the deep sea challenge, or the big boy there, that was titanium. It's grade 5 with some tweaks. looks a little shinier, a little stronger, oxidizes differently. So more suitable probably for a luxury watch like Rolex. They want to use that. He compared Rolex to Apple. Apple doesn't want to draw comparisons to competitors, so they'll come up with different names for things that other phones do. They'll just call it something different. And Rolex does the same, right? Their rose gold is something different. They don't use COSC. They use a certified chronometer. They do different things to not leave themselves open to um, comparison with competitors. So that's why they're calling this RLX titanium instead of grade 5 or grade 2, right? We don't really know what it is, but it's RLX. So,
Right.
and then number 2, he talked about water resistance, water pressure testing. It's mostly done static. They just drop a watch slowly in, right? But he said it can be affected if we dive into a pool. That's a different kind of pressure coming at a certain watch. So that could affect, the water resistance of a particular watch. He said some brands are very obtuse about what that actually means. He said Omega is really the only one that's kind of straightforward. 30-meter water resistance means you can actually swim down to 30 meters. So he wishes more brands were a little more straightforward and not so, like I said, obtuse about what they're talking about in terms of water resistance. We don't really know what we can do with these watches sometimes. Like, can I swim with a Cartier Santos even though it's 100 meters? I don't know. I probably wouldn't feel too good about it. Technically, I guess you can, but I don't know. I wouldn't do it. Then Seiko Accuracy. This one I thought was interesting. I'll try to go quicker here. They're known for their iffy accuracy, right? We all know. I talked about that on my podcast this weekend too. He brought up the SJE 093, sort of the group watch here, and the stated accuracy is it -10 plus 15 or the reverse of that? Yeah, I think it's -10 plus 15. He said a lot of times people will say, like I've said it, well, it runs way better than that, right? On wrist. But he said he doesn't assign value to that. Like if a car guarantees you 10 miles per gallon, he's not going to assign value to the fact that it's 40 miles per gallon. Maybe he's only going to assign value what the manufacturer states. And why won't they promise better? And he says it's because they sell cheap and expensive watches. He talked about Rolex and Tudor. They only make high-end watches. Seiko, on the other hand, makes $200 divers all the way up to like $8,000 divers. So he said we can't have like a Seiko 5 be better than an SPB model or an SLA model or an SJE model, right? We need to have them sort of be stay in their lane, if you will, right? And then he talked about, and it's same for bracelets, finishing, polishing, all that stuff, right? You're not going to get Grand Seiko level finishing on, an SRPC, my Samurai, for instance, right? Just they're not going to offer that because why would you spend more? He talked a little bit about the Malaysia versus Japan. A lot of people say there is no difference. He said sometimes the movements might be a little bit better in the Japanese models. I don't know that if that's true. He talked about something called binning, which I thought was interesting. These silicone wafers that become CPUs. He said the highest quality ones then go into like the top high quality products, and the ones that maybe fail the test but are still suitable will go into lower tier products. And he said that's essentially what the 8L is. Grand Seiko uses the top notch, and then the 8L are binned to put in their SLA models and things like that. He said sometimes you get a really good binned version. You might get one that runs, COSC. Then you might get one that runs, plus 15 or, even worse. So he's like, you never know what you're going to get with Seiko, and that's kind of why. In-house, pretty standard here. We know what in-house means. He has 3 rules for what he looks for in-house. Specs. Is it worth it to buy in-house? Are you getting the right specs? He looks at certain specs like finishing, power reserve, all that kind of stuff. Finishing on the movement, and then scale of availability. He won't pay for something that he won't pay too much for like a Solida. He'd rather have he doesn't mind paying for the Piaget movement in the Cartier Santos Dumont because you can't get it in every watch, right? So he doesn't mind paying a premium for that. And then the display case back. He said it raises the price in most cases for very little cost. Like the Sapphire Sandwich is 13.7% more expensive than the Hesselite. He said there's no way that little piece of glass is 13.7%. He doesn't really want to see it on lower end movements that aren't that pretty to look at. He would rather save the money and maybe a little thickness too. So that's
Okay.
it. Lots to
I'm
say.
itching to go. I'm itching to go. Can I go?
Yes, go.
Can I go?
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. So I have problems here. I
Yeah. I
I
knew
mean,
you
these
would.
are good inferences, I guess, and he's entitled to make these inferences, but he's stating them as fact,
Yeah.
right? So I think there's a lot of problems with what he's saying because, for example, the binning part, it's a good idea. I mean, it makes sense, but say for the 8L35, which is the predominantly used 8L movement, the 8L35. You have the 8L55, which is the high beat version, right?
Right.
But there is only like two watches in the recent history that's used the 8L55,
Yeah.
and the 8L55 is more along the lines of maybe the 9S85 Grand Seiko movement. And then you've got the 8L35, which is along the lines of the 9S55 movement, but the 9S55 movement is barely used in Grand Seiko models today,
Right.
right? So where are these bin movements coming from? Like, if they're not making that many at Grand Seiko, either maybe they
I
binned
just
it
thought it was a
decades ago.
non-decorated version of it. That's all I thought it was. I didn't know. I didn't. Yeah, but I didn't agree with what he was saying here on the
Yeah,
whole Seiko thing at all, really. So that's why I kind of wanted to
yeah.
talk about it.
I would think at least these movements were probably made a decade ago or something,
Yeah.
and they're using them now. Maybe they were stuck in a warehouse or something. I seriously doubt that they're current production, and there's a bin set of movements that are consistently going towards, these SLA models, which is possible, but it's improbable from
Yeah.
my point of view, right? And then let's talk about like that 13% price hike. It's not just the sapphire, right? There's more goes into it than just changing a couple of crystals around. There's there are differences, and it could be as simple as tooling costs, right? You've got to come up with, and I'm just making a case here, but it's not just, hey, what's the cost of a sapphire, and take the steel out of there, and then use a jigsaw and cut the steel out, stick the
Doesn't
sapphire in
happen
there.
by
It's
magic,
not what
right?
happens.
Yeah.
There's more points of water intrusion. There's more testing. There's more gaskets going in there. There's more problems that come with sticking a
Yeah.
sapphire. Um, and they're building two different watches in a sense, like the Hesselite versus the sapphire sandwich. Um, so I mean, they're good thoughts,
He
I guess.
simplified
And
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
was one thing else. I can't quite remember. It was a bit earlier on when you were discussing it. It's escaped me now. But there was another problem that I had with his hypothesis. But the problem is that
Titanium.
um no no, I think I was okay with his titanium theory. It was the SJE. I think it's something to do with the SJE.
He did a
But
whole video about the SJE, and I actually had a problem with some of the things he said in there too. So I was like, "Oh yeah, I got to talk about this guy,"
yeah.
because I did this one. I'm with you. Like I don't know. I had a problem with especially the Seiko
Yeah.
section.
Water.
Oh, water
Water was the
resistance.
thing, right? We're talking about swimming, diving into something,
Yeah.
and look again. It's a good thought, and it's a good discussion to have. But if you do the math, and Mark from Long Island Watches did the math, right? And that's why sometimes Mark is so valuable. But there's no difference in terms of pressure, purely pressure. There are other issues that come with diving into water, and you can't just do a math equation and say, "Hey, the pressure doesn't change." There's air and weird stuff going on with bubbles and stuff like that. But if you're purely looking at pressure, moving your hand at 2,000 kilometers an hour even uh, is barely going to increase the pressure. I'm over exaggerating there, but in terms of pressure that a watch has to face, you diving in versus you just sitting there in your hot tub is negligible. The amount of pressure if you have a really deep 30-meter hot tub.
I
But
like how Omega does it. Like I can assume if if it says 30 meters, I can move my arm any way I want to in 30 meters and I'll be fine, right?
right, right.
That's what
And
I would
I mean
assume.
no malice. I like this guy. I like. I shouldn't say that. Who am
It's
I
a
to say that?
new
I'm just a
channel to
kid.
get us talking. That's why I picked it, because I was like,
No,
I
no,
know everybody's going to like have opinions about this, so I was like, I'm gonna choose. I've never watched this stuff really, so
no. So glad you chose to, because it was a really interesting video. Well executed video too.
yeah.
It's just he was stating it as fact, and I could feel myself getting a little hot under the collar. This is not fact. God. I mean, it's a good idea. Let's talk about it, but it's not fact.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bobby.
Bobby, are you fired up?
I was clearing the court. You know what I mean? I was like making room for let Sanjay go. I mean, I thought it was a from the aspect of him trying to relay his point. I think he presented it as well as as well as you can. Now we can bicker or fight about, like, what it was, he stating things as fact or not. That's a totally different discussion. I but really, when it came to the Seiko thing, now okay, let's put the movement stuff aside. It started making a lot of sense to me why, like, the QC perhaps maybe is not as great on the lower end, right? And then as opposed to the even the mid tier or the higher end, like divers. Let's use the Seiko divers for an example,
Mhm.
because, like, if you have a really good, consistent quality QC, like a Seiko 5, do you want to then, are you cannibalizing the rest of the divers that are closer to it? I'm not talking about, like, like the MM300s or, other world. I'm talking about, like, because there are so many divers, right? So that kind of made a lot of sense to me. And, like, look, and
Yeah.
I guess I wasn't as critical in thought about the movement, so, like, that was making sense to me too. But now hearing you, Sanjay, talk about it, I'm like, huh, I think Sanjay's right, which means that I just really don't have a valuable opinion upon on this subject, because I'm easily swayed by the last person that I just heard talking about it, right?
No, no,
So
no. That's not true.
so he presented pretty well. I bought it. You present pretty well, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, Sanjay's right. I think,
No, no.
uh, but the whole in-house thing, like, I think I'm in line with that as well. Like, I still have a hard time, um, and paying, like, multiple thousands, for a Salida, a movement, right? A really workhorse movement. And here I say that, I mean, I put a deposit down on a Zin, on that new Zin 356, which is a little over $3,000, but it has a Salida in it, right? But I mean, there's more to that watch, right? I mean, it's like it has other things that make it more appealing to me. Like, it's limited. Like, I just like the look of it. You know what I mean? And it's a Zin. It's one of my favorite brands. But I do fall in line, I think, with what he's saying with the inline stuff, in-house stuff. Um, for me, being in house is not really as important as it used to be, right? Because
I
it's not.
agree.
I mean, look, I appreciate a good movement. I like accuracy, but there's so much more other stuff about a watch. Some of the tech, the dial side, all that kind of stuff are very, very important to me. But I still have it. Like, I wouldn't spend like six, seven, or $8,000 on a Salida movement, right? But maybe three is my top line on that. Water resistance. Okay, I mean, I'll leave it up to you guys, talking about that. Again, I believe the person who spoke last about it, so that's Sanjay. So I think, he's right about that. But I think the guy's got some talent
He does.
in
Yeah.
general.
He does.
Good
Presenting.
production value.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So I'll give him, and he's got an opinion, whether he's stating it as fact, and maybe it should be prefaced as opinion. That's something maybe he can, clear up a little bit. But other than that, I think he did a pretty good job, because I bought it.
He reminds me of
It's,
my father-in-law. My father-in-law will say outrageous things that when you first meet him, you're like, "Oh, it must be true," because he says it with such conviction. But
yeah,
it's not true. He's the
yeah,
biggest BSer ever.
yeah,
Once you get to know him and he's
yeah,
telling other people this stuff, it's like,
yeah,
"Oh God, this guy."
yeah,
You kind of remind me of that because he said it with such conviction that yeah, that
yeah.
might be right. That
But
might be
I
right.
don't think this guy was, like, trying to BS. I think this is actually what he, like,
What he
believes.
thinks. Yeah.
You
No,
know?
like they're good hypotheses, right?
Yeah,
They're good things to try and work out, because the problem comes down to the fact that we don't have enough information. from the brands themselves. So
Yeah.
all these weird hypotheses come out of, out of nowhere, and it's fair. It kind of happens, and I've done it. I've
Mm,
come up with these weird hypotheses that
Me too.
when someone pokes a little at it, it just completely falls apart. So it's great to have the conversation. You're like,
yeah.
hey, no, that doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
let's let's poke these holes and try to figure out where things are happening.
And
Yeah.
that's what Watch Soup's about, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, let's see what the chat has to say, right? Hey, Pocket Watch, good to see you. Um, let's see. Oh, Maison saying, I don't think my BP 5015 is grade 5 titanium. That said, it's beautifully finished, extremely finely brushed, looks dull in renders, but IRL plays with the light wonderfully. Hey, Justin is strapped in. Wilson, love me some RLX. Um, let's see here. Let's Titanium has a great Tudor has great titanium. If only they made it. Okay. All right. I know what that's all about. I can't expect to connect with Blancpain. I don't like the size, price, just don't get the love for it. Maybe history and promoters. Going back to the Swatch collaboration, I guess. It's not like vanilla wafers, Detroit Spartan.
Oh, Nilla
Um,
wafers. How do you guys feel about Nilla wafers? I like them.
vanilla wafers, I like them. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Never
I
had
think
them.
I haven't had them in a really long time. I think it's like a kid thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I picked up last night? I picked up like some Haagen-Dazs
Oh,
and it was a chocolate peanut butter. Mmm, so good. It had like chunks of peanut butter in it. Man, I think I'm gonna have some after watch soup tonight. Um, man, we are deep in the Seiko weeds tonight. Yeah, Justin, we were, but us three, we like our Seikos, for sure. Sanjay was taking umbrage. I think I felt it. I felt it. I felt it. Let's see here. Bobby likes to have sleep. Hey, look, I mean, like Sanjay, what do you want me to do, man? Sanjay has Bobby has an open eyes. If I'm whoa, guys. Um, Kevin S is saying, just make a declarative statement on the internet and it's fact for sure. Hey, look, I mean, like, we're in the business, or we're all in the business of making content, right? And some have different ways of doing it, right? And so like you almost have to be really opinionated here, especially in this space, this one space, which I think has become oversaturated with content creators, and I'm part of the problem. But you kind of have to distinguish yourself by having an opinion, right? And whether you come off as stating it as a fact or as a hypothesis, those are some nuances that need to be worked out. But I really don't have a problem with that video. I really don't have a problem with that video that we
I'll
saw. I
probably
mean,
watch what he makes. I'll probably
yeah.
Yeah.
some I don't unless it's really interesting. But yeah, I'll probably check out what he's just based on this discussion even tonight.
Mhm.
I would too. He's
Yeah.
got a new
Yeah, me too.
subscriber in
I
me for
subscribe.
sure.
Yeah.
Kevin, I said I actually find the QC on the Seiko 5s to be quite good. Some of the mid-tier stuff in the 1K plus range seem to have more QC issues with Seiko. Um,
That's why I said on my podcast this weekend, I compared my Samurai and an SPB 143 I'm borrowing. The Samurai has zero quality control issues, and I've had that watch for 4.5 years. The SPB 143 is noticeably misaligned, keeps worse time than the Samurai.
Mhm.
Unofficial, I don't have a time grapher, but just based on my very unofficial, unscientific methods. So yeah, I think I agree with that.
just I get down with Nilla wafers, especially in some nanner pudding.
Oh,
So let me just translate. So vanilla wafers and banana puddings. Okay, okay. Justin's from Florida. I mean, that might be his southern accent there. Do you have southern accents? I guess they do. Some of them do. They do. Hey, Nilo's here. How you doing? What's going on? Detroit. Don't mention ice cream rolls. I don't know why that's funny. Vanilla wafers with some peanut butter is good. I've heard. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next one. Hey, Sanjay, you're up. Teddy Baldassarre watches with best finishing under $5,000. 17 watches mentioned. Go ahead, Sanjay.
Yeah, I thought this was an interesting video, especially because I've been thinking about finishing recently, and it seemed to come out at a good time, opportune time to talk a bit about finishing. He mentioned some really great watches, and I thought maybe we could pick at them, see which ones we'd buy or we'd I don't know, keep for ourselves, get for ourselves. I I had some questions. I had some questions. Okay, some things popped up while I was thinking about some of these watches, and seeing them on screen.
Mhm.
It was it, I really appreciated actually being able to see a lot of these watches in one place.
Hmm.
So I think it's a valuable video, for us as watch enthusiasts. So, do you guys have any watches that stood out? I guess I could lead off.
Yeah. Well,
I've always been a little curious about Monta watches, and he showcased the Monta Atlas, I believe, with the yeah, that's the GMT Monta. Uh, that made me realize that male end links are superior to female end links. So the I always thought that male end links looked a little better, but the female end links on it, on say Grand Seiko tends to have male end links. I'm thinking of Omega. Yeah, Omega, female end links. Uh, they're more user friendly or more comfort friendly for a smaller wrist, but the male end links tend to look better. And I think this kind of sealed the deal for me seeing that watch because it was reminiscent of. It made me think of a few watches that I like, and I the first thing that I thought of was that man, I wished it had male end links just because it would be more cohesive in terms of that watch's design. I think it would have worked better, although it would have gone against the community, the watch enthusiast community. But I thought that was interesting to see that Monta in that light. And Ordain was gorgeous as ever. I know.
mm,
Bobby Legs, you've reviewed a couple, right? Was it two or?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it was really nice to see the plum dial. It looked really good. I don't know how they get that texture on enamel. How do they do it? Because enamel is glass, right? So um, when you heat it up, and you melt this glass, how do they manage to get the texture on the dial? I would love to spend a day.
It's a very difficult process, and they throw away a lot of dials,
That's
for
why the
sure.
wait
That's what.
lists are four
Yeah.
years long.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kinda kicking myself a little bit, because I was pretty close to picking up a Manta, about 3 or 4 years ago, and I didn't, and they were readily available back then. But, yeah, c'est la vie. Mito Multifort looked, interestingly like a watch that we know. I don't know if you guys had the same feeling. I thought the Mito looked a lot like a Nautilus.
Mm.
I hope I'm not being a Kevin O'Leary here, but that Mito, especially on that orange strap.
Yeah,
Uh,
little bit. I did think the date was kinda cool on that, though.
yeah, yeah, the big data
Yeah.
is really nice,
That's a watch I
especially
completely ignored and dismissed whenever I've seen anything about it, and then this made me take a closer look at it. It's like, "Oh, the date is
Yeah.
kinda cool."
yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool, but I don't think I could get past the whole Nautilus thing. Not that I care. I mean, I do care, but at the same time, the Nautilus is hideous. So, sorry, you caught me being in a very opinionated mood. The King Seiko. You mentioned the King Seiko. I'm kind of jumping around. King Seiko, I agree, was super, super great finishing, for that price point. I had not seen that Longines, the Conquest that he had mentioned. Another really cool watch. It looked a little plain. I think I like the previous Conquest models. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not 100% there, but um, was very cool to see the Hydro Conquest. I did raise my eyebrows a little bit when he mentioned the Oris Aquas. I never thought of that as a really well finished product. I mean, it's fine, um, but to be in a top well finished, under 5,000 list. I don't know if I'd go that far, but hey, Teddy Baldassarre is also Oris.
Right.
I shouldn't. I
May
shouldn't
have
throw
gone on a ski trip or something too.
Right. But then he mentioned the Grand Seikos, and I had to agree with the Grand Seikos. They're really well finished. Movement is pretty good for the price as well. I would say, in those lower priced models, the movement finishing is pretty adequate, pretty good, especially if you're looking under $5,000. So anyway, guys, your thoughts, Bobby?
Yeah, a couple of surprises that were here, and I mean, like the Formex, which I'm a big fan of. I was, really good finishing. Did not has never jumped out on me with a couple Formexes that I've had in hand.
Mm,
Although I think they were executed very, very well, and I mean, like the whole thing with the name. I know people have a problem with it. I don't have an issue with it. I really think they're really good watches, and I like them a lot. I've owned a couple um, in my collecting career. Um, I think the watch that really, really impressed me, um, and much to the chagrin of my friend Marcus, is going to be that Nomos, um,
yeah,
the Neomatic club. I'm a sucker for the club line in general and any variations of that. But that watch, man, I mean, look, Teddy made all these watches look really, really good, and
Right.
that's the talent of his team, showcasing how they do. But that one to me really, really stood out, and partly it's because I've been thinking about Nomos a lot lately, and maybe flirting with the idea of adding one of these days on it. I still have this fantasy of trying to collect as many brands watches from Glasuta as I can. Obviously ALS will be too, probably out of my league. But and Moritz Grossman and whatnot. But some of these particular brands from that city are cool. I like them, and I don't like all Nomos. I probably dislike most of the Nomos models,
mm,
but I like this watch a lot, and to me that one stood out. And then of course a couple of the other watches, that Hydro Conquest, really, really cool. Of course the Zulu Time, the Longines, I also really like. He even made the Oris look good, and the Frederic Croissant look good. But I just I can't see past the first hurdle with those watches anyway. They could have like the best finishing out of them all, and I just still won't see it. But anyway, yeah. I mean,
the spirit looked really good,
the spirit
Yep.
looked very, very good too. Yeah.
but the Oris, I mean, it looked like an Oris Aquis. I don't
I
Yeah.
almost find
I
them
don't
too
quite get it.
blingy. I find them a little too blingy, actually, for my personal tastes.
No,
I
I
actually
totally
wrote that down.
understand,
Too blingy for me. That's all I
and
wrote down.
I actually really like the Oris Aquis, but you never think of it as a well finished watch,
No.
like a
Mm,
paragon of the $5,000
absolutely.
finishing. Yeah, it's sharp angles,
Mm.
gaudy high polished lugs and the outer links. It's fine. It's a good looking watch. Definitely
Is there
not. Sorry, go ahead.
no no you know what, we haven't heard Clayton's take on it. I was gonna say, is there any watch that wasn't on the list that should have been on the list? But anyway, Clayton, I
Oh,
mean,
I'll go. Yeah, I'll go
yeah.
quick. Most of the watches you guys already touched on. I had the same thing written down. I checked out a Formex Reef GMT. Loved the bracelet technology and all that. Yeah, finishing, I did not really. The bezel had like a brushed kind of texture to it, which I thought was cool, but I didn't notice any like excellent. Maybe in the price range, you're getting a
mm,
lot, in general with that watch at the price range. One watch that, and you're right, he is so talented, or his team that makes these videos, like all of these watches, even what, yeah, like the Freddie C, as some people call it, or the Aquas. I was like, oh man, he makes these watches look so good. The Chronomat, I fell in love with
Mm,
that Chronomat watching
hmm.
the video. I was like, this is a watch I've never really looked at. Like, this is really nice. It's on, I don't know, maybe on my list. I'll probably forget it in the next couple days as other things come out. But as of today, it's like, wow, that, because I love that bullet bracelet. I think it looks so cool. Yeah, really nice watch. Yeah, so that was really highlighted. I've checked out the BB36, much more dressy than the
Mm,
previous version, but also really nice. Don't really have a need for it in the collection, but also very nice. So yeah, and also the BR05. Got to see one last weekend. They're very nice looking watches. But yeah, what a talented team
mm.
of whoever he has doing his videography and editing and everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'll pose that out there. Sanjay. I mean, well, let me go first. I mean, like in regards to watches that I think should be on this list, and look, there's so many watches that probably could be on the list, so I can't fault Teddy on that one.
Right.
But I tell you, one watch that I've owned twice and have parted ways with is the Citizen. The Citizen. Now he to be fair, he may not. I mean, his experience with Citizen. I mean, look, he's probably seen more watches than I've ever seen. But it's whatever is available here in the U.S., right? Which is not like the top quality stuff, but like that high end Citizen, the Citizen, the polishing, the finishing on that titanium watch, on the indices, on the hands, um, on the case, um, the fact that it was finished so well and it being a titanium watch. I mean, it's maybe not as high level as the Grand Seiko, which he showcased Grand Seiko here on this video, but that for like $2,700 watch or somewhere in the $2,000 range, man, that's some quality work. That's one piece that kind of like I wasn't surprised that he did not include it, but as soon as I was done watching this video, I was like, damn, that Citizen to Citizen should be on that list too. Any
Mhm.
thoughts, guys, on watches that
Yeah,
were left out? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I'd say I know he mentioned the King Seiko on the Seikos, but I would say if you're just thinking about the watch head, the watch that you have, Bobby, the SPB 381,
One, yeah,
38133, or even the 185 SPB 185, anything with that Marine Master 200 reduced case, I
Yeah.
think the finishing is
mm,
untouchable.
mm,
Um, it is
yeah,
so complicated, like, the way that giant
mm,
bevel comes around
mm-hmm,
the lug, and, it is beautiful, like, imperfection free,
yeah.
crystal clear mirror finish.
And it's even
Uh,
more exaggerated on the 381 than the regular reduced MM200s because it's thicker. Like the case is
right,
thicker, so
right.
everything's a little
Yeah.
bit thicker. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I think for Seiko, if you're talking about case finishing, I
Mm,
think that is the first case that should come to mind, especially in the lower price end
mm.
range.
Well,
Clayton, any thoughts?
even the brushing on the SJE 093, and I
Yeah.
remember especially on the zero SLA 043 with the ever brilliant steel, I would just get lost looking at it. Looking at it, it was so well done. I think maybe it's a little bit whiter, the ever brilliant steel, so it made it stand out a little bit more to me. But yeah, like say, I know we're very Seiko heavy tonight, but they just do such a good job.
Yeah. Chastain loved me when Sanjay throws shade on Oris. Uh, Teddy just needed to fill the list. best best finishing is on a used watch. All right. I don't know where. Okay. Sanjay can help. Oris was pretty well finished after Sanjay reviewed the caliber 1500.
That's good.
Chagrining is the worst. Okay, Wilson. Bobby Legs buying a Nomus. Oh no. Caliber Nomus and the Nomus Club is great. Bobby Oh Nomos. Okay. Two playing for Bobby. All right, all right, all right. I was so close. I know I almost nailed it. Yep. Used hoodie is the best 5K F watch period. I don't know what that means.
Used hoodie.
Hoodie.
Hmm.
I
Mm.
don't know.
Yes, Sega, bless you. Thank you. Pocket watch. Hey, my name is Teddy. Here are 17 great watches. I sell 15 on my website. Very true. Always be closing, Teddy. MD Chaz, I met Teddy's photographer Will Bethune at a GS9 event. Cool dude.
Mm,
Um, the bullet
he's good.
bracelets are cool, right?
Yeah,
Right, Clayton?
that chronomat.
And it's got like a stealth timing bezel on it too,
Yeah,
right?
Hmm.
And
I
it
like that.
actually turns
Yep.
it's not like in your face. I do like that.
Yeah, I
Um,
really that watch really stuck out to me.
mhm.
Uh, Jeff McMahon has me looking at something else. All right, okay. Hey, let's move on to the last topic, and it's Federico Lo's talks watches. And my true thoughts on Christopher Ward, Audemars Piguet, new model, etc., etc. And there was a couple. He does this Q&A typically every week or so, and there's two questions or two topics that I want uh, to focus on in this. And the first one was he had somebody asked, does if somebody wanted to get images of the movement, is that something that he will do for that as a
Mm.
salesperson, right? And he mentioned like anything like with like that has like a Salida, no. Modern Rolex, he said no. If there was like a vintage watch, then there was yes, and he was using the excuse that because of gaskets and you start opening things up, things can happen, etc. And so I don't know. I thought I guess I was a little naive here because I know a lot of these guys claim that they authenticate these watches, right?
My
And
exact
so like,
thoughts.
what was that? I'm sorry.
My exact thoughts.
Yeah,
Sorry. Yeah.
yeah, and so I was thinking, okay, I'll give you a pass on. Let's say they have like an Oris, right? That's using whatever base movement they usually use. I don't know what is it. I don't know, Salida ETA, whatever it is. I'm just using that example. I'll give them a pass on that, right? But a modern Rolex, like I know that they have sold Rolex without papers, and they'll say no box, no papers. Um, but they're not authenticating it that way. You know what I mean? Like, I
Mm.
mean, I know you can tell by the dial side if like a dial is a copy or if it's the real thing or fake, case, etc. But not the movement. Like you're not checking on that, and they have an in-house watchmaker, right? They have
Mhm.
somebody, and look, I know they see a lot of watches, and maybe that's just like too much for one watchmaker to authenticate. And then it got me thinking, like, like that eBay authentication. Now that's a really nice thing to have. And I feel a little bit more confident when I'm buying watches now off of eBay because I never did before until they started that authentication service. I felt more comfortable buying. But there is no way with the volume of watches that are sold on eBay, especially, right, that they're checking any of this stuff, right? And so, like, it got me thinking, yikes, man, I think he said the loud part that he shouldn't have said, right? I mean, maybe he should have like punted on this question, right? Because I don't know, made me feel really, really uncomfortable. And I'll get your thoughts after I bring up the second point. The second thing that he addressed and somebody had brought up, and this triggered me earlier in the week, and it was what was his thoughts on the new Audemars Piguet released that collaboration. I'll bring it up here. The 1017 ALYX 9SM collection. And hey, we were in line with this one. He was like he didn't get it. Like he was like he thinks like Audemars Piguet, it does not befitting to them. They've come out with some wacky releases, and he's I guess he's like trying to hypothesize that they're looking out for like a younger or different kind of client. And my thoughts were like, first of all, I hate this release. I mean, this is such a mall watch. Like, what is AP doing here? I mean,
It
this
looks
is
like a
just like,
Casio to me.
yeah, it's just like beneath. I feel like it's beneath the brand. And instead of how about and if Federico is right, that they're maybe trying to get like a new type of client, or try to reach out to some new blood or something like that. How about you how about you kind of like address the situation where you have in the boutiques where you're forcing people to, like, from what I've heard from people who've gone to these boutiques, to buy 1159s before you can get like a Royal Oak. You know what I mean? How about you address that first, and let maybe make some more royal oaks here for some of these people who are loyal clientele. Like I know they probably want to make it like a elusive and really hype it, keep the hype up on these things. But instead of trying to like attract um, like a new clientele with these terrible looking pieces that just really are beneath the brand, in my opinion. How about you take care of some of the people who really are interested in your watches? And anyway, so that this has kind of burned me up, this release anyway. And Federico was speaking my language. Guys, what do you think about those 2 points, and any other points made up in the video? Please, Clayton.
Um, Maison One made the point I was going to make also. Maybe they do open the watches and look at the movements, but it's not when the photographer's there. Maybe they just get these watches for one like bulk photography
Mm.
session, and they just take them. So the movement
Well,
is
well, I mean,
just
like,
not
I
open.
mean, like, he could have said something like that. Okay,
Yeah,
he said, "I'm not going to take the picture, but we do, like,
yeah.
like, even like as a little side note, it was like we authenticate everything. We actually look at the movie. You know what I mean? Like, then say that,
Oh
because
yeah.
I think he just. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut in, but I
Oh
feel
no
like
no
he
no
just opened the
no.
door for some criticism here. That's all.
Yeah. No,
Mm.
yeah, no, I agree. He left himself open to questions for sure, like you had here tonight. Because oh boy, yeah, you say that right on when you look at one of his watches, 100% guaranteed authentic. Yeah, it makes me even more nervous to buy from these guys.
Yeah,
Like I've talked to my local place too. Is like, have you ever gotten a fake? No, no, no. I don't think they really. I don't know how deep they go in determining that. So it's like, I don't know. It's kind of scary world. But
yeah.
yeah, I agree. So maybe that there's that. They do have. I think his name is Hans, the
Hmm.
watchmaker at Del Rey. I know. He's been on with Federico
Yeah.
a couple times, so it seems like a very good watchmaker. So
Hmm.
I'm sure they do their due diligence. But yeah, definitely left it open to questions there. And I agree with you on AP. It's not a brand that I'm really ever invested in anyway. I don't pay much attention to just because they're way out of my price range. But even more less so now with these. Every release I see is just something that I'm not into. The Marvel stuff,
Yeah.
these
It's gimmicky.
sound meters on dials, all this stuff. It's not for me. And I understand maybe what they're doing, but it's like, okay, is it befitting one of the Holy Trinity brands to be doing this stuff? I understand, like hip hop culture and younger people are into their watches, so I can see trying to appeal to that to a certain extent, but um, Patek does that, but they also do classic pieces befitting a brand like Patek, and I'm not sure AP is doing a whole lot of that right now, are
Mm.
they?
Yeah. Mm.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, I was thinking about that AP thing for a second, and the the fact that the subdials are ungraduated, and it's very close to like an MVMT watch, right? Or
Yeah,
Mm.
a
Yeah.
fake,
yeah, it looks like a fashion watch.
yeah, or a fake watch that you find that you press the chronograph pushers, nothing happens, and it's all just decorative anyway.
Mm.
Uh, it gives that feeling, which is very unfortunate because at the same time, I kind of can understand this is kind of like in my mind, if I were to trying to rationalize this, right? If I was gonna give all the benefit of the doubt to AP, I would think this is like the alternative to having a completely bejeweled watch, just to
Mm.
show how much you don't care, right? And this is like the watch enthusiast version of it. Like, I care so little that I'm gonna overpay massively for this prohibitively expensive AP movement that is supposed to do amazing things when you press chronograph pushers, but I won't have any idea what what time
Mm.
it is or how much time has elapsed. I I kind of feel like that's like the watch enthusiast flex if MVMT hadn't done it first and turned it into a mockery. So in the end, I do concede that this is a bit of a disaster. Um, as for the first point you made, I I kind of understand where he was coming from. Uh, mainly because he's talking about like lower price or mass or like fairly modern stuff, right? He did give the caveat that if it was a vintage piece or something, he would, yeah, oh, okay,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm.
I'll go open up the case back, show you the movement. But if it was, like an Omega that comes in 200 times a day or something, I kind of like a Seamaster 300. I kind of understand, what are the chances of something going horribly wrong? And I think it would be cheaper business wise to reimburse someone and take care of them, give them the 100% customer service if something did go wrong, rather than coming up with a plan. Obviously, the best thing to do would be to come up with a plan to photograph the movement as they come in, as the watches are authenticated, to photograph everything about the watch while they're being authenticated. I think that's the best thing. But if you can't have a photographer on staff during working hours and it's more of like an outsourced thing, then yeah. At the same time, though, how hard is it to photograph a watch? I mean, it's hard. I shouldn't say that, but to photograph a movement, just throw a
Yeah.
light box and photograph the movement. So I get both perspectives, coming from business side, maybe.
I mean, look. I do understand the fact that, like, like there's so much volume, right, of pieces that it's probably impossible to have a strict, control over whether something comes in is real or not. And I get and look, I guess that's part of the risk, right?
Mhm.
So I guess the reality is, you pass along all these watches until someone calls bullshit and this is fake, and then you deal with it. Then okay, great. I'm not comfortable with that. I don't know how
No, no.
comfortable I'm not with that anymore, and it does make the case um, to buying something new, which is a bummer because prices are going up, and it seems like with certain brands, discounts are running dry. So you just have to. It's just a risk. It's just a risk, man. It's just like
Yep.
So
But then, so at the same time, he's a known quantity, though, right? I think he leans heavily on the fact that he leans a lot on his integrity, and I think that's okay to do, in a certain sense. Like say my a local watch guy in my area, um, if he'll probably sell watches really quickly, but he has really high integrity, so that if I even had a question, like if I
mm,
say, hey, one watchmaker came to me, I took this to a watchmaker and he said this is fake, there would be like a no questions asked, please give me the watch. I
mm,
will do everything I can to,
yeah,
no questions asked. I'm taking the watch and I'll deal with everything, kind of thing. Here's your money back. And I think for a small operation, I don't know if Federico's a small operation. For a small operation, I think that's a um, reasonable shortcut.
yeah.
I
I,
don't
gue-
know.
I guess my nightmare scenario is I buy something from Federico. He gives out a 1 year warranty. I think it's a 1 year warranty. 2 years later, I send the watch in for service. They tell me it's a fake. How?
That's the thing, though.
What do I
He
do?
would take care of you, I think.
He would.
But how? But what if he says that's not the watch I sent you? It's not under
Yeah,
warranty. Like like what? Like you
he
know what I
could.
mean?
That's the thing. So the fact is, he's leaning on his integrity a lot, which may or may not be warranted. Right? I don't know. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, yeah. No, no. I think it's. I mean, I don't know what the answer is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or like what's you
I know
know.
somebody who just dealt with Fed, sold him a couple of watches. There was a bit of an issue, and Fed ended up taking care of him in the end.
Mhm.
Pretty stand up. Did a
Yeah,
pretty stand up thing, actually. Fed did. So,
yeah. I'm
yeah.
sure. Like while it's in warranty, Del Rey warranty, he will do that. It's just like, and this is nothing against. I don't know if Fed personally, but I mean, this is like, what if it's a fake 2 years after the warranty is done, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
find out, you know what I mean? Like, what happens then? So then now the problem, we're part of the problem here. You know what I mean? Um,
See, though, my let's say for my local guy, there is in perpetuity.
mm,
Like if it's stolen or not stolen, sorry, if it's a fake watch or a stolen watch or something,
mm,
it doesn't matter how many years go down. The only thing is, Fed might not be here like 10 years from now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
How about I was saying legs has me looking at Nomos. And Justin quickly says, "No, you were doing so well. No, uh, buy new." Buy new.
Yeah.
I bet they don't open many watches. Um, uh, Pocket Watch is saying very true. I was a bit surprised they don't check all expensive movements. Here's Mizone's point, Clayton. The people he has doing his servicing and
Yep.
pre-sales checks probably not Photoshop photographers and have enough to do anyway. And his photographer won't be open case back. So let's see here. Scrolling down. Anybody else? AP is a one-hit wonder that lost its way. It's like a movement watch, MV and MT watch with a Casio mod.
That's what it
Um,
looks like.
very much so, right? But I was like steaming mad about the AP compromising its integrity. He's no longer. I am no longer. You're right. You're right, Kevin. I am no longer a customer.
I'm with you there.
Yeah. Justin says AP does this stuff around every 6 months. Nothing new trying to court kids. They always appear lame. I only trust Franz, the watchmaker, not Hans. Okay. Does any other secondhand watch dealer routinely open standard watch? I rather no. I wait a minute. You're probably right. I guess I was just naive to that fact, right? I mean, I just expect that when they say that they guarantee
Did they run the
authenticity.
serial number then? Like, what do they do?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they just like look at. Maybe they can tell that it's mostly real. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, without opening up the case back. I mean, yeah. I don't know. Authentication is like insurance. I think Del Rey watches handle enough watches a day in and out to really identify fake watches without having it authenticated and open a case. Okay. I mean, but a movement. I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, maybe. I think Fed has seen and handled so many watches. You can tell them, okay, all right, you guys are going
I
to
mean,
bat
he
for
gets
Fed.
some neo vintage regularly, neo vintage watches in
Yeah.
there. So yeah, I don't know.
But you just need to trust the seller. A good seller will buy from other reputable dealers. Low chance of getting a fake. Fed is coming for you next week, Bobby. Watch. This is not necessarily an attack on Fed. It's just like, like it's just my naivete about. I couldn't get that out right. Yeah, man. I was just like,
I
oh
think
man.
I would be comfortable buying a watch from Fed.
Yeah, me
I don't
too.
know if I ever will, but yeah, no hesitation. I trust him. I trust him to take care of me if I have an issue.
I couldn't have been the only person thinking that. Wait, you don't actually check the movement,
Yeah.
but maybe it's an unrealistic expectation. Bobby Legs loves watch beef. No, I don't. Naivete.
You're about 3 months early.
Yeah.
Yeah. Naivete set.
Yeah.
Nobody can add syllables so well like that. Like this is skill. No can do, my friend. That's one of Fed's favorite responses.
Yep, I've gotten that response before.
Hey guys, well, we made it through. We made it through episode 22 or 21. Pretty well tonight, I think. Right, Clayton. What's going on the Watchdog podcast?
Yeah, it was this was fun. This was a fun one. Did a solo episode this week. Did a little rant myself. I felt like you guys were fiery on this episode tonight. I did a rant on my episode, and then I talked about the 3 tiers of Seiko divers. So that came out, and there was an issue with the episode I did with you last week. I actually had to delete it. I'm putting it back up tonight or tomorrow, so it'll be back up. If anyone wanted to listen to that and you didn't find it there, Buzzsprout did something wonky, and I had to actually delete that one because it was on this new like monthly payment cycle. So, but I'll put it back. I promise.
It's basically Homer. Homer, we're sorry.
Yeah. No, it's the podcast I did with you on mine that's gone. So
gotcha.
But yeah,
okay.
He doesn't listen to that one.
Yeah.
He only listens to the Watch Soup one.
Hey Sanjay, what do you got going on this week?
I got a couple of videos recorded. I need to edit. I've been meaning to edit the
Mm.
the Grand Seiko GMT 9F video.
Mhm.
Not the one that I have right now, but the previous GMT watch that I had. Um, I've been waiting for a decent time to release it because I felt like I was so negative on that one, and I feel like my videos have been a bit negative lately, like skewed to the negative.
Mm.
So I wanted to have a couple of positive videos,
Okay, man.
but I've got that, and I have a Rolex and Grand Seiko bracelet, like close up comparison.
Oh,
I want to do that too,
let me
especially
guess who won. I know who won.
Grand Seiko, hands
Yeah.
down, man. No, no, no. Especially because now I have the glide lock to add into the mix. Oh
Mm.
man, glide lock is so good.
I know. It's a
Glide
it's
lock.
a it's a game
It
changer,
is
right?
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
yeah.
almost picked Sam. Did you watch Casual Watch Reviews Grand Seiko video this week? I almost picked that one actually. I thought you might.
I,
That
I
would,
was I was tempted, but
I think that would have triggered the chat a lot. So
Right,
it
right.
was good that we didn't pick this one. Well, guys, thanks again. Chat, you were great, awesome. Hey, check out links for Watch Out Podcast and Engineer Wannabe channels are in the description below. Guys, have a enjoyable rest of your Labor Day weekend. See you on Tuesday night for another Bobby Legs stream, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care. Good
Good
night,
night.
Homer.
good night, guys.
Good night, Homer.